Hello, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another historic video. Today we're going to be featuring Andrea Mengucci's 4-color midrange from the latest Pro Tour, or whatever it is they're calling them these days. This deck list was very well performing there. Now, this is maybe not the most exciting deck list in that Uro has been dominating many formats, and he has raised his ugly, swoopy, scary, mouth-sucking noise head again. The one thing I want to point out before we really jump into games with this deck is that this was a list that was built for a Pro Tour and a very much unexpected metagame there. Let me show you what I mean. So Aether Gust is a card that you might not consider main deckable in a lot of different formats, right? Because it's a little bit more narrow than normal. This isn't a generic removal spell. This is very much targeted. So what might this do in Historic specifically? Well, there's a lot of green decks, including this one, right? And the ability to answer all sorts of things, from Nissa to Uro to Muxus with a single card, is really worth a lot here. So that's one of the things that stands out to me as being very notable about this specific deck list. As far as the general game plan goes, we are looking to play a whole bunch of extra lands, and if you look at the land count here, it's actually pretty high. We have 28 lands here. So you're looking to put those lands into play with things like Growth Spiral, which for some reason it's okay to put lands in at instant speed now, as well as Uro. You also have some things that can keep your land drops flowing or make your land drops more useful. Yasharn allows you to get 2 land cards to your hand, and Nissa makes your forest tap for a whole bunch more mana, in addition to just being a little bit obnoxious as something that turns your lands into real threats. With that said, let's just go ahead and jump into some games and see how this deck list feels. I hope you are enjoying this historic content, and if you are, please take a moment to hit the like button and make it so that more people can find this content. I really would appreciate it. It helps out more than you possibly could know. Unless you're a YouTube creator, then, you get it. Alright, I'll be keeping this hand. We have a Triome to play tapped, so we'll be starting there. Alright, so I can Growth Spiral to put in a land, but then I can't also Thoughtseize this turn. Which is a little bit awkward. Because if my opponent is playing an Aura's deck, I really want to take their 2-drop that is going to be a draw engine. I guess I have Fatal Push for that, though. So let's go ahead and pay a life for this. I am going to play Growth Spiral now, on the off chance that I draw a black source, because then I can Thoughtseize this turn. And I don't know whether or not this is going to be worth the life, but I'm going to try. Okay, our opponent was playing a control deck, and we get to take one of their Teferi or Shark Typhoon. Both are pretty good. The Shark Typhoon is probably just going to be a small creature, so I think I'm going to go ahead and take the Teferi here. Now we have a lot of information about our opponent's hand. This is 4. Great. You wouldn't use a counterspell on the front half of Uro, right? Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay, so now I don't know the exact basic land count here. Do I have a basic swamp in this pile? I do. Alright, so now we Thoughtseize, we take their other threat, and, like, the counter spells aren't that big of a deal. If they want to be countering Uros, that's, like, not the end of the world. We have 4 cards other than the Uro in the graveyard, and I need 5 to escape. Ooh, do I cycle? Cycling is interesting, because it puts another card into my graveyard to escape the Uro, which forces an Absorb or Ether Gust. I'm gonna go ahead and do this. And the reason to do it main phase is because I can hit a new land drop to just go ahead and play. Like so. So my cards aren't exactly great for this matchup, but yeah. I've probably reached the point where my opponent has to cycle that out. And we have 2 counterspells to work through, but we have something that is going to be kind of annoying for them to work through. Can't really fight back against this super well. I guess I'm just jamming. Doesn't really feel great. Surprised I can't just auto do that with Arena. I had exactly 5. So now they have to ask themselves, do I want to Absorb or Ether Gust this? Yes, I would like that again. And 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. I will go ahead and play this tapped. Three. Green, blue, and then anything. Yeah, okay, so Auto Tapper's doing fine. And I can go ahead and just pass the turn here. My opponent has a Scry Machine on board. That's fine. They found something they liked. I don't really have a good answer to something like a Teferi right now. Probably just want to cycle that. Oh, a new Uro. I mean, don't mind if I do. It's a little awkward because if I want to hold up the Essence Scatter, I just have to keep... Like, it costs me life to do so. I'm going to pay the 2 life. It seems like a small cost. How's the graveyard looking? Graveyard has 4 things, so 3 things other than Uro. I need 2 more things in there. Yeah, some of these cards are not looking premium. And I don't think I just want to blow them for the sake of fueling the graveyard. This makes you really appreciate Brainstorm and Legacy, the ability to just shuffle away your Game 1 cards that aren't going to be good. Alright, well, that's a thing. Let's get rid of that. Fuel the graveyard. Alright, we're a little heavy on land here. I need 1 more card in graveyard. I don't think I want to blow this to just put an Uro into play. Every time my opponent cycles one of these, though, it's just going to be horrifying. Yeah, Censor is most certainly past its prime here. Okay, now my opponent has a win condition. Granted, an exceptionally slow win condition, but a win condition. What? You forget? Alright, now the jig is up that I don't have a counterspell, and I am in a lot of trouble. This might be the point where I have to just, like, blow something like this. But I still think this is just really good at sweeping shark tokens, so maybe I don't. But my opponent has, like, 2 of these. They can just start activating them for creature tokens. And there's a Teferi. This is the point where I'm okay just calling it. This is probably just the draw that didn't line up now. For content creation purposes, I think I'm going to throw in the towel here. There's nothing really on the line. My opponent pulled too far ahead there. That's okay. Even after cycling some lands, we just kind of flooded out there. We also drew cards that were likely to be very good against a lot of the format, against like the sacrifice decks, the goblin style decks, but hitting a control mirror there was a little rough with the draw that we had. Alright, gladly keep this hand. Growth Spiral, going to be quite good at bridging the gap to my other cards. Okay. I think I do this the same as last time. I go ahead and pay the life, cast the Growth Spiral now, see if I hit an untapped black source, which I didn't. So we'll go ahead and take this as an opportunity to play Breeding Pool tapped. Alright, I don't know exactly what Chromatic Lantern is supposed to indicate. I kind of want to Thoughtseize my opponent and figure out what's up. Doing so would mean that I probably play Oko for less value than normal. I'm unlikely to be able to put in another land, but I do really want to Thoughtseize my opponent. So let's do this rather than playing this. Alright. I'll put that onto the battlefield. We didn't spike a land there like I really wanted. And I guess that's okay, but not ideal. Alright, let's figure out what's going on. Oh, jeez. The opponent has 4 mana right now, so all this stuff is uncastable. Let's maybe take that. Okay. My opponent has given it up after Thoughtseize takes one of their middling plays. I don't know. There must be something to my opponent's deck that is just not very visible based on what their hand was there. I don't know. Historic has seemed like a relatively fast format to me. You need to be doing things. I don't think you get to sit and durdle and cast like 6 and 10 drops unless you're like very actively working towards that gameplay early on. I'm going to keep this hand under the assumption that we have a lot of draws that make this better. So we're looking to be playing against some sort of green-white deck. Could be a collected company deck, some sort of counters deck. A tribal deck? Okay, we are playing against a cat deck. With no Kahira, I think the name is. I could have played this differently in... So this is odd, this is even. How do I want to do this? Do I just want to kill some of these things now? That seems fine. I don't know how much value I want to try and ride out of the extinction event. Alright, so I have green. I would like to get blue with this, theoretically, but then I can't double spell easily this turn. Yeah, maybe let's just, like, not plan on casting Uro in the next, like, super immediate future. Let's just take these out, let my opponent commit to the board, and then ride an extinction event to... Oh, yeah. There we go. Nope, that's not what they want. Cards in graveyard. Not a ton. If I spike a land with Uro, I would really like to play it this turn. Otherwise, I want to hold up Essence Scatter and Growth Spiral. Let's just go ahead and pass the turn. I'm going to intend on taking a hit from this and then hopefully getting a 2-for-1 with Extinction Event. I can eliminate it, but that's not really my plan. My opponent here might be thinking about how to play around the most number of things here. They have counter spells to think about, they have removal spells to think about. Alright. That can be made indestructible, so I might just want to go ahead and counter that rather than let that hit play. Alright. Seems like an early concession to me, but I don't blame them. A lot of times the tribal decks are very aggro-focused, and if you don't get things going in your favor early, you probably don't end up winning a vast majority of the time. Our hand really needs more mana than what I have access to currently. I want to have Essence Scatter turn. Am I supposed to just use my mana? I'm gonna go ahead and just use my mana. I want to keep them off of casting a Muxus for as long as possible. That's something that could have just gotten caught up in the Extinction event. But if I counter that, they're more likely to like play 3-drop into 4-drop, and I can maybe get a spicy 2-for-1. Maybe that doesn't make sense because of the odd-even thing. This is such a weird sweeper to be thinking about. So how do I play this? Do I just cast this? Cast it for X equals 3 cantrips? No, I want to save that for a little while. Let's just do nothing this turn. Play that tapped, call it a turn. See what happens here. Maybe think about Extinction event. Yeah, so now I can Extinction event for odd for pretty good value. Taking the haste enablers out of play is really good. I still need a few more cards in graveyard. I'm sitting at 3 cards in graveyard. Matron gets Muxus. Oh, so they already probably have a Muxus if they're making that play. Cast a large Hydroid Crassus and see what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, I have a largish creature. That holds the ground for a little while, but it's not necessarily going to be enough against a Muxus. That card is horrifying. My opponent is thinking about sacrificing some creatures, so maybe they have something mid-rangey like a Kiki-Jiki? Or not Kiki-Jiki. Renko. Another Extinction event would be pretty stellar. Otherwise I can Ether Gust. They're hovering over more. Alright, so my opponent is set up to grind okay. Nissa, what are you gonna do? You give me more mana. You're a nuisance, but you don't help me actually answer this. So maybe I want to start with something like the growth spiral. And I guess I want to go full control here. Tap this and tap one of the... Oh no, the triomes are also forests. Yeah, whatever. Alright, I can just Ether Gust this to the top of their library, but I can come back with haste anyway. That costs them a good amount of mana. And I also don't want to put that on top of the library, so I guess I'm just casting Nissa.
I will protect the virtue of this world. Be wary of the ground you walk on.
This is kind of the part of the game where I don't have clear answers for what I should be doing. I avoided Herald's Horn. You can make those. Hopefully you cast a Muxus, and I Ether Gust that away. Like, it feels like that's what their last card is. Oh, the castle. So, I can lose this land, take a bunch of damage on my Nissa, or I can Aether Gust this Chieftain back to the top of their deck. I kind of like that. I just totally missed this. It was an onboard trick. But I maybe shouldn't have blocked with this. Now 5 cards in graveyard. I can cast Growth Spiral and then Uro. Oh, JK, there was another one.
Do not assume I am fragile.
Ooh, I totally don't mind Fatal Push. I'm just going to assume my mana will work out perfectly if I use the Auto Tapper. That's maybe not a safe assumption. Well, sure. Ah, it was another Krenko. Alright, so I don't have Revolt for Fatal Push. I guess let's cast this. Fetch land would be jazzy. I'll cast that next turn. I could Fatal Push Skark Prospector, but I'd really like to use this to clean up Krenko. Plains isn't super valuable here. I guess let's just turn that into a dude.
Harness the elements.
And I might have become the beatdown. Alright, Chieftain and 1 mystery card. Which is Phyrexian Tower. That's fine. Alright, so I have to remember their castle thing can give them 1 additional pump this turn. Or I guess 2 using Phyrexian Tower. So this block is safe. This block triggers Revolt. And then I lose Nissa and 1 land, cast a large Hydroid Crassus, have Uro. I think I'm good with this. I also could use Fatal Push on not Franco. And take out the Goblin Chieftain instead. But I think I just want to get rid of Krenko.
I must go.
That's a great draw. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And leave these. That can give me 6 potential mana to cast this afterwards. No, I miscounted. No, because it untaps 1. This is fine.
Together, we will prevail.
Go and just untap one of these.
Behold, nature's true power.
I could just save this for next turn and just kind of hold back defensively at least a little bit. I don't know, if I attack with this flyer, they're just dead to it next turn with no recourse. Yeah, maybe it's just 1 attack. Maybe I'm supposed to cast this because the only way that I lose is them just going ham and hitting something off Herald's Horn like a Muxus. Now they're dead on board, so everything will go at my face. So we'll go ahead and block 2 of their creatures. And they can activate. I'll take 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And not be dead. Let's cast a big Hydroid Crassus, you know. Just for giggles. You're a forest. Let's tap you. Let's untap you.
The land fights for us.
What can I even cast this for? So this taps for the color, then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Nice. That's probably a good note to end things on. If you made it this far and you enjoyed the video, please click the like button. It helps other people find this content. I enjoyed this deck, but I don't think this would be something that I would enjoy playing with for a very long time. I think this is a deck that I could rack up a lot of wins with, but I don't particularly find the play patterns here fun. It's just very similar to so many things I've seen in formats again and again and again, where it's just blue soup. I don't love it. I'll be back tomorrow with some more.